There is something in the air between June 8 and June 9, 2026 that is stirring people all over the world. Even those who never paid attention to astrology, even those who always thought this sort of thing was an exaggeration. And if you are watching this video now, I need you to understand one thing first and foremost. It was no accident. You didn't get here because of an algorithm. You didn't get here because of a random suggestion. You got here because some part of you is already feeling what is about to happen. It is not every day that Venus and Jupiter meet in the sky. This encounter is rare, it is powerful, and it is considered by ancient astrologers as one of the most favorable alignments of the entire year. The Romans called these two planets the two great benefics, precisely because when they appear together, they bring energies of blessing, expansion, prosperity, emotional healing, and the opening of new paths. Many sensitive people are already feeling these effects, even before intellectually understanding what is happening. Perhaps you have been more restless over the last few days. Perhaps you have had very vivid dreams, some confusing, others revealing. Perhaps you have felt a tightness in your chest for no apparent reason, or on the contrary, a strange joy coming out of nowhere, as if something inside you knew good news before it even arrived. Perhaps you have remembered people from the past without understanding why. Perhaps you have had thoughts about changes that seemed impossible until a short time ago. These are all signs. Venus represents attraction, relationships, abundance, beauty, self-esteem, and above all, personal value. That value you often forget to recognize in yourself. Jupiter represents expansion, opportunities, growth, faith, luck, and the courage to believe that something greater can happen. And when these two planets unite in the sky, something begins to expand in the most important areas of your life, even if in the first few days you don't yet consciously realize it. If you feel that this message reached you for a reason, I ask you to do one simple thing now. Write in the comments the phrase, "I receive the expansion," because the simple act of declaring this already moves energy within you, and the universe registers every declaration you make with consciousness. Now take a deep breath, because from here on, I am going to explain exactly what this conjunction means, what are the 9 things you need to know about it, and what you can do during these 2 decisive days, so that the energy of this portal does not pass by unnoticed in your life. The meeting of Venus with Jupiter is the meeting of 2 of the most powerful energies that exist in the celestial map, and the ancients called this meeting the kiss of the benefics. Venus symbolizes love in all its forms, the beauty that heals, the prosperity that comes with lightness, the self-esteem that needs no justification, the sweetness that perfumes life. Jupiter, on the other hand, symbolizes the growth that seemed impossible, the luck that appears when you least expect it, the expansion that breaks old limits, new opportunities, and the deep confidence that there is something greater taking care of you. And when these 2 unite, 3 things happen at the same time. That which you value begins to expand, that which you love seeks to grow and mature, and that which you have been cultivating in silence, often without the courage to tell anyone, can finally begin to flourish before your eyes. There is a phrase that perfectly summarizes this moment, and I want you to keep it inside your chest. When Venus and Jupiter meet, life reminds you that you deserve to receive as much as you have been giving. Read that phrase again. You deserve to receive as much as you have been giving, because one of the invisible diseases of our time is the disease of those who give too much and receive too little, of those who take care of everyone but forget themselves, of those who bend over backward for others and then feel empty without understanding why. This conjunction comes precisely to rebalance this scale, and that is exactly the first thing many people begin to feel in this phase, a hope that had seemed dormant for a long time. After difficult weeks, after heavy months, perhaps even after entire years feeling like you were rowing against the tide, suddenly a discreet, almost shy optimism appears, like a candle that lights up again after the wind has passed. Motivation returns without warning. Possibilities seem closer than they were yesterday. Things you had given up on dreaming start to come back to mind. And what is actually happening is that your vision of the future is beginning to broaden. Astrologers say that Jupiter never works materially first. It always works first in the mind, in faith, in vision, and only then does it manifest in the physical plane. That is why it is so important to pay attention to the thoughts that appear in these days, because they are not random. They are previews of what is to come. Expansion always starts in the mind before appearing in reality. The second thing you need to know is that your relationships begin to show the true potential they had hidden. Some will strengthen in a surprising way. They will deepen, become more authentic, more true, more loyal. You may receive declarations you never expected, forgiveness that seemed like it would never come, reconnections with people who seem to have left your life forever. But other relationships will reveal that they have already fulfilled the purpose they had in your journey. And this too is a blessing, even if it hurts at first. Because Venus always seeks emotional truth, and Jupiter expands what is true, not what is comfortable. And if a relationship was only sustained by habit, by fear, by neediness, by guilt, this energy will expose that in a way you may no longer be able to ignore. There is no way to go through this conjunction and continue pretending. The relationships that survive this window will be the true relationships, those destined to grow with you. The portal that opens between June 8 and June 9, 2026, is special for a very specific reason that few astrologers are commenting on. During this conjunction, the heart and expansion work together in harmony, without internal conflict. Do you know how many times in life what you desire comes into conflict with what you think you can achieve? Do you know how many times what your heart wants seems impossible to your rational mind? Well, in these 2 days, these two forces reconcile. What you desire and what you can achieve finally begin to align. The energy favors new emotional beginnings and new financial beginnings at the same time, something that rarely happens so clearly in the astrological calendar. And at this moment, 3 questions need to be asked within yourself, with sincerity, without pretending, without deceiving yourself. The first is, what do I really desire to attract into my life in this new cycle? The second is, what am I actually ready to receive without guilt, without fear, without thinking I don't deserve it? And the third is, what opportunities have I been ignoring out of fear, insecurity, sabotage, or thinking it wasn't for me? Write down these 3 questions. Answer them on paper if possible, because writing activates a part of the mind that just listening does not. And it is exactly here, at this point in the conversation, that I need to stop and tell you a truth that perhaps no one has had the courage to tell you before in your entire life. You were born seeing what others do not see, and spent your life apologizing for it. You feel energies before understanding what you are feeling. You know when someone is lying before the person finishes the sentence. You enter an environment and immediately perceive the emotional climate, even when no one says anything. You dream of situations that later happen. You think of someone, and the person calls the next minute. You perceive synchronicities that no one around you perceives, and yet, deep down, where only you know it exists, you have always wondered if it was your own madness, if it was an exaggeration, if it was in your head, if you were inventing these things to feel special. It wasn't. It never was. Never at any moment in your life was it madness. And keep quiet for another year about this. Suppress this part of you for another year. Pretend for another year that you are an ordinary person, and you definitively lose who you were to become a faded copy of what they expect you to be. The awakening matrix is the end of the lie they taught you to live. It is the exact map for you to finally recognize the gifts you have always carried since you were a child. Activate the perception they tried to erase. Understand why you always felt different, and transform this sensitivity that seemed like a weight into the greatest source of prosperity, protection, direction, and abundance in your entire life. The link is pinned in the first comment and is also in the description of this video, and I ask you only one thing. Do not let this window pass, because conjunctions like that of Venus and Jupiter only boost what you have already decided to recognize within yourself. Those who enter this energy without recognizing their own gifts cross the portal and receive nothing. Those who enter knowing who they are receive everything. Access now, even before finishing this video, because what follows will make even more sense after you take this step. Continuing, the third thing you need to know about this conjunction is that it usually brings unexpected opportunities, and the word unexpected is the key here. Important conversations appear out of nowhere, coming from people you hadn't put on your radar. Invitations arrive from places you never imagined. New contacts emerge at unlikely moments, often in banal situations like a supermarket line, a short trip, a social network you almost closed. Interesting proposals knock on your door when you least expect it, and the most common mistake in this phase is letting these opportunities pass because they didn't come in the outfit you imagined. And here is the key to everything. Pay very close attention. Jupiter amplifies what you pay attention to. What you pay attention to. If you pay attention to lack, it expands lack. If you pay attention to fear, it expands fear. But if you pay attention to the small doors that are opening, even the doors that seem too small to be important, it expands those doors until they become wide paths. Opportunities almost always arrive disguised as small decisions. Accepting a coffee with someone you almost refused, answering a message you were going to ignore, giving a chance to an idea that seemed too silly, saying yes to an invitation that seemed inconvenient. The expanded person is precisely the one who learns to recognize the giant that lives inside every apparently common detail. The fourth thing that starts to change within you is your self-esteem. And this is perhaps the deepest gift of this conjunction. You stop minimizing your capabilities. You start to value your talents more, those you have always had, but always thought anyone would have too. You recognize your own growth without needing anyone to come and confirm it for you, and this is one of the greatest liberations that exist, because the person who needs external approval to feel valuable will never have peace. Venus reminds you of your value, and Jupiter helps you expand that value outward, to the world, to the environments where you previously shrank, to the conversations where you previously remained silent, to the spaces where you previously thought you were lesser. And here lies the most important lesson of this conjunction, perhaps the hardest to swallow, because it goes against everything they taught you your entire life. The most common mistake people make is waiting for the perfect opportunity, waiting for more signs, waiting for more preparation, waiting for more money, waiting for more time, waiting to feel completely ready, waiting for everything to align before taking the first step. But Jupiter teaches something that few have the courage to accept, and that is that expansion favors those who advance, not those who wait. Life does not reward perfection, it rewards movement. Abundance does not come to those who wait eternally. It comes to those who decide to move, even with fear, even without all the answers, even without being sure of anything. You don't need to be ready. You need to be available. There is a huge difference between these two words, and those who understand this difference change their lives in a few months. The fifth thing you will notice in these days is that you start to see the complete panorama of your life, as if someone had cleaned the dirty window through which you had been looking at the world. Suddenly you understand situations from the past that seemed unfair. You understand certain delays that seemed like punishments for no reason. You discover why some doors close precisely when you wanted them most to be open. You realize that that relationship that ended painfully was protecting you from a life that wasn't yours. That job you lost was opening space for a greater path. That friendship that drifted away was freeing you from an energy that was pulling you down. And then comes the revelation that heals. Everything that seemed like an obstacle was preparation. Everything that hurt for a reason. Everything that took time for a reason. You were not forgotten by life. You were being worked by it. Sixth, synchronicities increase in an impressive, almost fun way when you start to notice. People reappear in your life without warning, exactly the right people at the right time. Repeated messages start to appear everywhere, numbers that repeat, words that you hear several times in the same day, symbols that appear in different places. Significant coincidences multiply in a way that becomes hard to ignore. And ideas you had tried to forget, projects you had kept in the drawer, dreams you had retired return constantly, knocking on the door of your consciousness as if saying, "I am still here. I am still possible. I still deserve attention." All of this is a sign that your attention is aligning with new possibilities, because life always sends signs. The difference is when we are ready to see them. Venus and Jupiter together bring a message that goes far beyond money, and this is important to make clear, because there are many people associating abundance only with bank accounts and losing the deeper meaning of this word. This union involves true relationships, life purpose, bodily well-being, spontaneous joy, real human connection. True abundance always includes that which makes life valuable, and not just that which fills the bank account. There are extremely wealthy people who live in the worst poverty, which is the poverty of meaning. And there are people with little money, but with an inner wealth so great that they light up any environment they enter. This conjunction invites you to redefine what abundance means to you, and that is why the seventh thing that changes within you is the way you think about scarcity. That constant worry that weighed on your shoulders decreases. Confidence in the process increases, even when you don't yet see the result. Openness to receive increases, because there are many people who ask all the time, but when the universe delivers, the person cannot receive, becomes suspicious, thinks they don't deserve it, sabotages. Your energy stops focusing only on what is missing and starts focusing on what is coming. And what you focus on always tends to expand. This is a silent law of the universe that functions with the same exactitude as the law of gravity, even if no one explains it to you. During June 8th and 9, there are some very simple but extremely powerful attitudes that boost all of this, and that you need to put into practice, even if only for a few minutes. The first is to write your goals with clarity, without skimping on words, without being ashamed of asking for a lot. Write it on paper by hand if possible, because handwriting activates parts of the brain that typing does not. The second attitude is to make decisions you have been delaying, even the small ones, especially the small ones, because each delayed decision is an energetic lock. The third is to open yourself to new connections, get out of your bubble, talk to someone you wouldn't normally talk to, accept an invitation, send a message you had been holding back. The fourth is to practice gratitude sincerely, not the automatic gratitude of those who thank without feeling, but the deep gratitude of those who recognize what they already have before asking for more. And the fifth is to visualize clearly what you want to build. See the scenes in your mind. Feel the emotions in your body of that already realized. It is not about controlling the future, because no one controls the future. It is about preparing yourself internally to receive what is coming. And here comes the hidden gift of this conjunction, what many people do not understand even when they are inside the portal. Venus and Jupiter do not create miracles out of nothing. What they do is show opportunities that already existed, expand consciousness that was already forming, and multiply that which is already ready to grow within you. Expansion does not start when something new arrives from the outside. It starts when you recognize what already exists inside you. That is why different people experience this same conjunction in such different ways. For some, it is a dramatic turning point. For others, it seems nothing happens. And the difference is not in the sky. The difference is in the internal receptivity of each one. The eighth important thing you need to know is that this conjunction is just the opening of a larger cycle. It is not the isolated event many people imagine. Soon after, on June 15th, 2026, the new moon arrives, and it is the exact moment to plant new intentions in the soil that Venus and Jupiter helped prepare. Think of it this way. On the 8th and 9th, the universe prepares the soil, tills the earth, brings the rain. On the 15th, you plant the seeds, and in the following months, you harvest. The 8th and 9th bring clarity and expansion. The 15th brings new beginnings. This entire week, therefore, can mark the start of a completely different cycle in your life, a cycle where you finally allow yourself to occupy the space that was always yours by right of existence. It is no exaggeration to say that people who take good advantage of this window can live the next 6 months in a way they haven't in years. And the ninth thing, perhaps the deepest of all, is this, and I want you to listen with your heart. You did not get here by chance. You did not live everything you lived to remain the same. Each pain had a reason, each loss had a purpose, each difficult night was molding you for what is about to arrive. Something inside you is ready to grow, and this conjunction does not arrive to change who you are. It arrives to help you recognize who you have always been and who you can become when you finally stop running from yourself. Between June 8th and June 9th, 2026, Venus and Jupiter meet in the sky in one of the most beautiful alignments of the next few years, but the most important meeting happens inside you, between the person you have been until today and the person you are ready to become from now on. Trust the opportunities that are coming, even when they come in strange packaging. Trust your own growth even when no one around you recognizes it. Trust what is beginning, even if it still seems too small to be seen. Some things need to grow in silence before appearing in the world. If you feel that this message stirred something deep within you, if you felt your chest tighten, if you felt like crying at some point without knowing why, if you felt a strange certainty that this was for you, write now in the comments, "I am ready to expand my life." Write this phrase with true intention, because the universe registers every conscious declaration. And remember this, because this phrase needs to be tattooed on your heart for the rest of the year. The Venus-Jupiter conjunction of June 8th and 9, 2026 will last only a few hours in the sky, but the decisions you make under this energy can stay with you for the rest of the entire year, for the next 12 months, for the next entire phase of your life. Do not waste this portal. Do not go through it sleeping. Wake up now. Pay attention to the signs. Open your heart to receive and allow this energy to enter you without resistance. Because after you truly go through such a portal, with presence and consciousness, you are never the same person again. And perhaps that is exactly what your soul has been asking for a long time, without you knowing how to put it into words. Not to go back to being who you were, but finally, after so long, to become who you have always been.